Okay, for numbers 31, it says which equation is equivalent to 5 minus 2 times 2x plus 1 equals 17. What you need to do here is you need to first simplify this using our distributive property. So here, let's rewrite our 5, and then we have the negative 2 times the 2x, which gives us negative 4x. Negative 2 times 1 minus 2 equals 17. Now we can combine our like terms here. 5 minus 2 is 3, so we have negative 4x minus 3 equals 17. Now, I'm sorry, that would be a plus 3 because 5 minus 2 is a positive 3. So now take a look at your options that you have written up above, and you can see that D is your option. They're not looking for you to solve this completely. They're just asking you to figure out and be able to simplify the first equation and match up the one that's equivalent to it. In number 32, it says, what is the y-intercept of the graph 6x minus 3y equals 24? Well, for this one, all you need to do is, you can kind of do it two different ways. The first way that you can do it is you can put this into y equals mx plus b form. So that means that we have to rearrange this, and I would take 6x minus 3y equals 24 and work at getting my y alone. So subtract 6x from both sides. I have negative 3y equals negative 6x plus 24. Divide everything by negative 3, and you have y equals 2x minus 8. Our y-intercept is right there. So if you take a look at your answers there, you have negative 8. The other option that you could take care of there is you could take a look at 6x minus 3y equals 24. And in order to find the y-intercept, what you need to do is you need to, and a lot of teachers have called it cover up. So if you would cover up this 6x, and you're looking at negative 3y equals 24, and you divide by negative 3, you get a y-intercept of negative 8. For number 33, it says that you are driving home from a football stadium. You keep track of the remaining gas in your car's tank. The equation shown below can be used to find the gallons of gasoline remaining based on your distance from your home in miles. So if we take a look at the equation that they give you there on number 33, they have G equals 15 minus 1/15 D. So it says complete the chart using the equation shown below. So I'll go ahead here. I'm just going to do a distance gallons. And we've got 24, 27, 30. And you can do that down here if you would like to as well. I just didn't like how crowded it was there. So if we would plug in 24 for our D and solve for the remaining gallons of gas, you would have 13.4. Then if you would plug in the 27 in, you would get 13.2. And then continue on, plugging in the 30, and you would get 13 gallons. What it's asking you now for part A, or for part B, is because the miles increase and the number of the gallons decrease, that's why your slope of the equation is a negative. Because as this goes up, I'll put this in blue, as your distance increases, see how your numbers are getting larger? Your gallons are decreasing. So as one goes up, the other goes down. That's going to cause a negative slope. Number number 34, it says the amount charged for each large pizza is based on the cost of plain pizza plus an additional charge for each topping. The following equation models this relationship. P equals 7 plus 0.75t. Put a 0 there. Okay? So what does the number 0.75 represent in our equation? The 0.75, is it the number of toppings? Taking a look right here. Is it the number of toppings, the cost of a plain pizza, additional cost of each topping, or the cost of a pizza with one topping? This, if you even take a look in here, there is a cost, an additional charge for each topping. So that 75 cents is C, the additional cost for each topping. In number 35, it says, use the linear equation shown below, and which equation describes the graph. Alright, I know my equation here is a little blurry, or my line, my graph, but we can see that right here that our y-intercept is -1. So that's where it crosses our y-axis. So in part A, it says y equals -3/5 x minus 1. B was y equals 3/5 x minus 1. C and D. So right off the bat, knowing that our y-intercept is at -1, we can cross off option C as an option because that had a y-intercept of -1.5. Now, also we can eliminate a choice just by noticing that our slope is negative. So because our slope is negative, you can automatically say, okay, well then this is not going to be an option because it has a positive slope there. So the next thing I want you to do is we need to figure out if our slope is going down 3 and to the right 5 or down 5 and to the right 3. So let's go ahead and take a look. We have this point right here that we have. And then let's pick another point where it's going to cross. Let's go down here where it has a nice intersection point. So if I take a look at that, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. So down 3 and to the right 5. So that would give me option A because of my slope. Okay, in number 36, I'm going to show you something on your calculator. So I want you to get your graphing calculator out and make sure that you have a nice clear screen. This that I'm going to show you right now for number 36, you're going to use on future problems, so please pay attention. In this problem, I give you the cups of lemonade sold and the total money collected. And it's asking you in part A to write a linear equation in slope-intercept form to represent the total amount of money from selling lemonade based on the number of cups. The first thing that I want you to do is I want you to go to your calculator and I want you to click the Stat button. Now, that Stat button is right under the Delete button next to your arrows. So I want you to click that. When you click that, you are going to see an edit. It's going to be highlighted on edit, and then number 1 edit is going to also be highlighted. So hit enter. Now here you should have a list 1 and a list 2. Now there's information in here. I want you to clear out that information from your list. There's 2 different ways that you can do that. You can go to second memory, and your option 4 is to clear all your lists. You can do that and then go back to your stat and edit your list. You should have an empty set of lists there. In list 1, I want you to enter all of these numbers, 10, 15, 20, and 25. Then in L2, I want you to enter in all of this money. Pause the video while you do that. Ask me questions if you're having trouble at this point. Okay, now after you have your information put into your list 1 and list 2, I want you to go back to the Stat button And then I want you to move over to the calc, because we're going to calculate. And then I want you to go to option 4, which says lin reg. This is your linear regression, or line of linear regression. When you hit enter here, based on your list, you're going to have y equals ax plus b come up. Well, that is your slope-intercept form. And what's awesome about this is that it's going to tell you what your slope is, or what your a is. So your a is going to be 0.5. That's going to be your slope. And then it gives you the b, which is your y-intercept, and that's going to be 17. So in part A, where it's asking you to write it in slope-intercept form, I'll put answer A right here. It's going to be y equals 0.5x plus 17. So you let the calculator do that work for you. As we said before, in B, it says how much did each cup of lemonade cost? Well, each cup of lemonade is going to be 50 cents. And you can tell that because of the slope. And then C asks how much money did she provide for startup costs. That's going to be your $17, and that's represented by your y-intercept. In number 37, it says in the coordinate plane, the points 2, 2, and 2, 12 are the endpoints of the diameter of a circle. What's the length of the radius of a circle? Alright, so the first thing that we want to use is we want to use our distance formula. Now this is on your formula sheet that will be provided for you. And your distance formula is alright, so taking a look at your 2 points up here, I tell kids to kind of label this all the time. That's x in your first point, y in your first point, x in your second point, y in your second point. And all you're going to do here is you're going to plug these numbers in. And you can let your calculator do the work, but I suggest you writing this down. So we're going to have 2 minus 2 squared plus 12 minus 2 squared. Well, underneath our radical here, we're going to have 0 squared, which is 0. And then here we're going to have 10 squared, which is 100. And the square root of 100 is 10. Now remember, that gives us our diameter of the circle. That gives us our diameter. So just be careful and reread your problem to see what they're looking for, because they are actually looking for the radius in this problem. And you have to understand that the radius is half of the diameter. So your radius is 5, and that's going to be your option A. In 38, it says a wheel has a radius of 5 feet. What is the minimum number of complete revolutions that the wheel must take to roll at least 1,000 feet? We're going to use circumference here equals 2 pi r. We're going to go ahead and throw in pi and throw in our radius of 5, and that's going to give us 10 pi, or 31.4. So that's going to be a minimum amount. It has to at least go 32, because you can't go 0.4 revolutions there. So it has to go 32 feet. In 39, Delroy's sailboat has 2 sails that are similar triangles. Okay, so this is where I always suggest to you guys that you draw a picture. You've got 2 sails that are similar. The larger sail has sides of 10, 24, and 26. I'll make my longest side the 26. And then we've got 10 and 24. If the shortest side of the smaller sail measures 6 feet, alright, so since this is my shortest side on the larger one, I'll put my 6 here on the smaller side of the similar triangle. What is the perimeter of the smaller sail? So we're going to have to set up 2 different proportions here. We're going to have to put the 10 over the 6, equals 24 over, we'll make that variable x. And then we'll use that 10 and 6 again and put 26 over y. When we do our calculations here, we're going to find that x is equal to 14.4. Remember, we're multiplying. And then when we figure out our y, it's going to be 15.6. So if I would label them here, perimeter means you add up all of the sides. So if you add all of those up, you're going to get 36. And that is your option B. Here it says, what is the image of xy after a translation of 3 units right and 7 units down? So what we need to take a look at here is we're going to take our x and we're going to shift it 3 spots right. So that's x plus 3 spots. And then if we take 7 units down, that's taking our y and going down 7 units, so that's minus 7. So taking a look at your options, x plus 3 and y minus 7. I think there's a typo on our paper here, but this one should say a 7, so that does give us option A.